Hello everyone, welcome to the News Desk. Rich Hagan alongside Maria Bartholdi, Simon Gertson and the Pro Tour historian Brian David Marshall. We're going to rattle through the coverage awards for 2017. No prizes for this, just a kind of review of the year, I guess you could say. So we're going to start with the card of the year and a few, in honour of Randy Buehler, honourable mentions. So we're going to open up. We've got Fatal Push, the Scarab God, Long Tusk Cub, Torrential Gearhulk. Simon, if you had to pick just one of those four, what would it be?
The Scarab God. There was a time in Standard where this card was breaking it, where if you put Scarab God in your teamer decks and other players were not, you had a huge edge on the format.
BDM, the next up, we have a series of red cards, or pseudo-red cards at least. Hazaret the Fervent, Chandra Torch Defiance, and Ramunap Ruins.
Yeah, I mean, Ramunap Ruins was the defining card that came out of Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. You know, we see the effect of this card here at the World Magic Cup still. It's just been, the red deck has just been something that you absolutely need to find a way to beat. And Ramunap Ruins, for me, is the card that really stands out there because it's the card that gave that deck some reach, but you know that point where you're like, okay, I've stabilized against the red deck, I've cast 2 board sweepers, okay, I'm good. And then they're just like, sack a land.
Yeah, they said the deck simply would not exist without Ramunap Ruins.
Yeah, I see that Hazaret and Chandra as just, yeah, you'd be in trade binders if it wasn't for Ramunap Ruins sitting in the middle there. No offence, your worshipfulness and your highness, don't burn me. But Ramunap Ruins in there for the red. Now, second place, Hubba Hubba.
Oh boy.
Who writes these? Ether Hub. Simon, talking of a card that makes decks tick.
If Ether Hub didn't exist, we wouldn't see these 4-color control decks. We wouldn't see Teamer Energy just splashing black with almost 0 cost. And Ether Hub is, well, I would say the second best mana fixing in Standard.
Oh, I can name that a tune in 1 card.
Okay, so here we are. I've got a musical instrument in this hand, a musical instrument in that hand, and I can play a tune with Ether. That is our card of the year, and I think it was pretty inarguable, really. I think everyone had this as the card of the year. Now, you know, eventually, maybe you get a bit fed up of going, oh, it's a turn 1 tune with Ether. But that's the hallmark of greatness. It's always really good.
I think the hallmark of greatness is people saying they would ban a common. There you go.
Just think about how much better it is to start with Forest Attune than to just start with a dual land. That's how crazy this card is. 2 energy just makes your Long Tusk Cup mirrors look completely one-sided.
Yeah, and just look at what the extra value you get out of it. You know, you cast that turn 1 attune with Ether, you cast a turn 2 Ether Hub, and turn 3 you make a Whirler Virtuoso, and suddenly you have the ability to generate 2 token creatures. You know, it just jumps you up the energy curve.
For sure. All right, so our card of the year is Attune with Ether. Well, Team of the Year is next, and we're going to start with a little-known Grand Prix trio from Grand Prix Shizuoka. This is Messrs. Abe, Hayakawa, and Tachibana. Why have we mentioned them? Well, they've been playing at every single Team GP in Japan since 2013. Until Grand Prix Shizuoka 2017, they had accumulated, as a 3 and individually, exactly 0 lifetime pro points. And here they are winning Grand Prix Shizuoka. Fantastic work. That is the only... Of course, we could have talked about Peach Garden Oath, but I think they're a bit more of a notable... Probably a few extra pro points. But that's our honourable mention there. So well done to the Grand Prix Shizuoka champions. In terms of the team series, though, Simon, why don't we start with you? I guess the underdog story would be Team Lingering Souls, because they did not come in necessarily expecting to be an absolute top team.
No, they were basically taking the opportunity, the chance to just get something out of the team series, which is a testing team, and then with good results, proto qualifications, and just basically making something out of a band of players that knew each other but weren't really a testing team before.
Yeah, great stuff. Third place, Brian David Marshall, the Asia Pacific All-Stars. This is MTG Mint card.
Yeah, MTG Mint card, you know, you look at this team, you see multiple players who were playing in this tournament at the World Magic Cup, you see Jason Chung, Wang Haoshan, Kelvin Chu, Eduardo Sajguk, and Nam Sung Wook all captaining their country's teams in a large part due to the surge that MTG Mint Card had on the Pro Tour last season, spawning more teams, bringing more players from their various countries all throughout, the Pacific onto the Pro Tour, possibly with a top 4 finish at this event, a top 8 finish at this event. And even Li Shijian would have been the captain for his team, had a conflict this weekend, passed it on to Yan Wing Chun.
For sure. Okay, so Maria, how do you solve a problem like Maria? Well, why don't we start at the very beginning? It's a very good place to start. Here's Genesis.
Genesis, yeah. Brad Nelson, Lucas Blohan, Seth Manfield, Martin Daig, Martin Mueller, Thomas Hendricks. Just a fantastic team. They love testing together. They love playing together. They made it to the Team Series final, the first ever. They got second place, of course, to Musashi, and now they're leading the series after the first Pro Tour, I believe. Seth Manfield, of course, helping things out there with a Pro Tour win.
For sure. So, Simon, Team Musashi, who are our team of the year, they kind of helped the field out by handicapping themselves in the first PT of this season. But let's not mess around. They were utterly dominant in the first Team Series.
Absolutely. They could have lost the Team Series finals, but they didn't. If you look at these names, if you look at these players, it's really no surprise. Japan has been a Magic powerhouse for as long as I've been following the game, and in particular Yuya Watanabe and Shota Yasuoka, two of the best players that have ever played a Magic card.
But even a player who you might not be familiar with, like Teruya Kukamai, he's someone who's won a Grand Prix. I remember doing an interview on a Thursday before a Pro Tour a couple of years ago and talking to Shota Yasuoka and saying, who are the players that we should be watching out for? And he said, well, you know what, I watched Teruya Kukamai win a Grand Prix with Mono Red, and he really impressed me. Interesting little foreshadowing for seeing Shota playing Mono Red this weekend.
For sure.
But this is just a great team that represents some of the great Magic players from the past, but also some of the great Japanese Magic players in the future.
Mono Red is where we're going to carry on our story on the Coverage Awards. It's Moment of the Year, and there are a couple here. To set it up, a sort of off-camera moment. Palavino Damarosa at Pro Tour Hour of Devastation was 0-2 in his quarterfinals, and he had mulliganed to 5. Without coming back from that, he doesn't make the semi-finals.
And so I talked to him about that. I did an interview with him on the floor after that match, and I said, what are you thinking about? You're waiting there, you mulligan to 5. He's like, I was thinking about who I was going to thank in my tournament report. I started composing what I was going to write in my head. It's what I do when I'm done with a tournament.
Yeah, he just thought he was out.
He thought he was out, which is crazy that that's not the moment.
No. But later in the day, he thought he was out again. And then this happened.
All right.
That's exactly what he's going to do.
Wow. So Yan Wing Chun, with the Collective Defiance, he doesn't even need to use it to kill a creature. He can just, that's a 3 damage burn spell for 3 mana. Hazard is 5, so that Apollo's effectively at 3. If he finds an Incendiary Flow, that will be the game.
He could just kill him right here.
Incendiary Flow? Is it a flow?
See what he's got.
It's a flow!
It is an
a flow!
incendiary flow. He
Oh my
hit
god!
It. Yan Wing Chun just
It's an incendiary flow off the
win
top!
Here, and look at this.
No,
He's
you
just
can't attack. You can't attack. He has only 2 cards in hand.
He can't
Is he in his
attack.
combat step? What's going on? He can't attack. Is he? That cost him the game.
Oh,
that cost him the game.
That could cost Yan Wing Chun the game. He's not allowed to attack with Hazaret, and if he's already moved into his combat step, it'll be too late for him to deploy one of the 2 sorceries in his hand, and a huge head shake for him.
What?
In a true sense, the word great, one of the great moments of MTG, but of course not a happy moment in MTG. We couldn't let 2017 go by without acknowledging that did happen. It was something that everyone will always remember.
But you know what? I think Yam doesn't get enough credit in that moment because you could see the instinct is to get away from that table, right? To take my headset off. Oh my God, I've made such a terrible mistake. But you know what? Immediately puts it back on, says, okay, I still have a game to play. I still have to figure out a way. There's still a chance that I can win this game, and there was. And he sat back down, and that's what's really impressive to me in that moment.
The commentators coming out of the booth after that round, they looked like they were going to cry. Like it is so devastating, this moment. And Yam just, he just buckled down and he stayed there.
And he's owned it. He's owned
totally.
it moving forward.
He has.
Regularly signs Hazaret's.
Yeah, which is just
And
great.
gladly,
Right.
and he's handled it with nothing but grace and class
Sure.
and good humor.
Yeah,
And,
so-
and by the way, just for that moment, I just want to take a second to really, to Marshall and Paul in the booth on the call for
Absolutely.
that. Just
Yeah.
saw it coming the whole way and just did a magnificent job.
Yeah, I mean,
And to you
it
too
was
in the studio.
It was a big moment, but our moment of the year is a happier moment. It is someone winning a trophy, and it's a home team turf triumph.
Jensen just shakes his head,
He showed him the Karizevs. He's like, look, I don't have it right now.
giving us the big sweat. Let's see what he finds.
Flip it up. Oh, what is it?
Oh, that is not the sound of somebody who hit.
Oh,
What did he find? Another rampaging Ferocidon,
No,
perhaps?
Chandra's defeat.
Chandra's defeat out of the sideboard. It's not in it. Huey Jensen is your world champion. Congratulations to Jensen. He started playing Magic in 7th grade, and after that long journey, he is now your world champion.
I've got to say, it's the shot of his dad that gets me every time there.
Oh, yeah.
It's not him, he's done all the hard work. But when your father's there to see it in hometown, just wonderful.
Absolutely. In a building that was across the street from a building his grandparents used to own, that he used to go and, get candy and toys and just hang out, a really special moment to be able to have that accomplishment in your hometown with your family around you. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
so our moment of the year is William Jensen winning the World Championship 2017. Well, it turns out that this man on my right gets to talk to those people quite a lot. So we've got a new category this year. It's Interview of the Year, which he wasn't even allowed to vote in. So to start with, well, when they won, both Jerry Thompson and William Jensen did fantastically appropriate and just great interviews. Of course, sometimes things don't always go entirely as you hope they will.
So how are you able to recover from that feeling?
I have before, and I have recovered before. Like you just gonna have to get used to it. You play Magic, you're gonna. That's how it is.
Yeah, maybe even in this interview.
Is it only me? I don't actually remember that chicken noise in the original live broadcast.
It's like Christmas Story, but he didn't say chicken noise.
I think your face, which spawned like a piece of magic pop art, by the way, when he said that, is one of my favorite takeaways from that moment.
The little bulge. Yes. Yeah. That's why we try and know who we're dealing with.
It is interesting. I've talked to Martin about that moment a lot, and the word that he did use has two different connotations to him. And one is used about how you do something, or if you mess up, is just it's a very casual word to him. And if I address that word directly at, say, you, it might be a more hostile word and be something that you would not say in a public setting. But the way he used it, is something that he, is a very casual, kind of self-directed usage, and it
Right.
means two very different things to him. And I thought that was fascinating, a little insight into language.
Cultural differences as well.
Yeah.
So, don't chicken noise. That's what we're saying. All right, but that wasn't our interview of the year. No, for that, something a lot more emotional. I'm sure many of you can guess. Here's this man again, this time with longtime friend Christian Calcano.
Thanks, Rich. You know what? Interviews don't get much happier than this. I've known Christian Calcano for a long time, and I know this was a big deal. Tell me what was going through your head as you sat down in that feature match area today.
Honestly, just try to not think about the moment. Just try and play as well as possible. I know I haven't been playing great all tournament or anything, but I just wanted to make sure that I focus on the game and just let the rest, just whatever happens.
Now this is the first time you're, looking at a top 8 here at the Pro Tour. What does that mean for you? You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I've been on the Pro Tour forever. And just it obviously means everything to me. I've dedicated my life to the game, so I just want to thank these guys for help me get here, you know, because without them, I just wouldn't even be here. So, yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, there you have it, Rich. A pretty emotional moment here on the floor.
Okay, now Simon, when you won your Pro Tour, we didn't have live cameras on day 2, so we didn't actually catch your tears of joy when you made the top 8.
I'm very fortunate that the camera resolution was a bit lower back then. No, but this gets me every time. The chanting, Andrea
Gertsen.
No, for Calcano, of course.
Yeah.
He's been playing for so long. I've played against him when I was active, and making this top 8 meant everything to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, you know, when he started playing Magic at Neutral Ground, you know, more than a decade ago, and you know, to watch his journey, to watch his dedication, to see his love of the game and the people that he plays the game with. He is an incredibly passionate Magic player, and to see him get that moment was very special for me. And I mean, I want to give an award to myself for not breaking down, crying, doing the interview.
I couldn't believe it. I was crying certainly at the news desk, listening to it in my ear.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it, and it was a really special moment.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing, and it you know, a lot of those moments do actually happen off camera, and we felt very privileged and honoured that we were able to bring it to you. But you know, you look at Mark Tobias finishing 9th last year, just sitting there distraught, and now a year on, here they are, 2 matches away potentially from a championship. Really does mean a lot to the players, and you saw it there in all its raw glory with Christian Calcano. That, of course, is our interview of the year. But Player of the Year, that's our final award, and we're going to start by setting the standard, because brothers, Brad Nelson, Corey Baumeister, BDM, you're the historian, and these two have been historic in their pursuit of standard excellence in particular.
Yeah, you know, both of these players, I was actually very surprised this year to figure out that Corey played on the Pro Tour before Brad did.
Yes.
Which was kind of surprising. Both these guys have been playing for a long time, and you know, Brad was the first person to really step up and make a name for himself, but this year Corey has just been on a special run, and you know, would be noteworthy by itself, but the fact that he's able to do that with his brother and playing on the same team this year on the Pro Tour, just
and
kind
I just
of
want to point out quickly, they always have a big shout out to the rest of their family when they're playing together. They say their grandmother, they're watching the matches and keeping track of like how many wins they need to make the top 8 at home on a score pad. So they've got a real crew behind these two.
Okay, 4th in the voting was Kelvin Chu, very definitely the most improved player in 2017. He had a phenomenal year, making it all the way to the top 4 of Worlds, of course. Into the top 3 we go. Seth Manfield was number 3 in the unofficial coverage poll. BDM, his numbers are really stacking up.
4 Pro Tour top 8s, a Pro Tour title, 5 Grand Prix wins. He has a World Championship title. You know, so it's just kind of it is for me as a voter, it is a slam dunk.
Okay, so up we go to number 2, Maria. It is our reigning world champion on the home turf triumph, William Jensen.
I mean, William Huey Jensen, what a complete all-star, especially this year. You know, winning world championship was just kind of like the final feather in his cap, and he was so, he went into that tournament and everyone was like, I think Huey's gonna win. You know, he put his mind to it, and he did. It was incredible.
Huey played some of the most impressive Magic I've seen anybody play on camera.
Absolutely.
In the last years.
Simon, you're one of the most reliable people I know, which means if I ask you the question, who did you vote for Player of the Year, I think I'm going to be able to guess the answer.
So I did notice that we do actually have that as a title officially.
What, Player of the Year?
So I did write you this email about conflict of interest. I can't vote for any other person that's not the actual Player of the Year.
Well, we were just giving you some guidance. It wasn't like a rule. It's just a guide thing. So who did you vote for?
Paulo Vitor Damodar Rosa.
The Player of the Year?
I did.
Wow. Look at that. Player of the Year is Paulo Vitor Damodar Rosa. Of course he is. By the skin of his teeth, though, BDM. It took to the last game of the last match.
If he hadn't won, we would have seen a playoff with Marcio Carvalho, but he did win the title and then won the Pro Tour and then won the Player of the Year title. And you know what? He is putting up a second Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
He really is.
He really is. His career since he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame is getting into the discussion of a Hall of Fame career.
Fantastic stuff. So there you go. It's been another great year, and those were the coverage awards for 2017.